Welcome to Hard Justice, boys. Well, it's been a great week 11. Had a lot of good matchups this week. Had a couple nail biters going in there, and sadly, Robbie, there wasn't really a nail biter going on our matchup. So I'm bringing it out again, boys. The commissioner board. What do I have to talk about this week? Win number 4 in a row for Get Your Popcorn Ready. And I would like to say thank you for Detective Famous for giving me another win in a row, number 4, as I make my push to the playoffs. And I have just noticed today I have actually clinched a playoff spot. I didn't clinch the number 1 spot, just clinched the playoff spot. So, another thing I'll be talking about is T-Bill, his playoff run. His Cinderella story has come to an end. So T-Bill came up short. And the last thing I would like to talk about is the Spanish gamer prevails. Wendell, again, you talk about how your team is just the greatest thing. You know, you can beat any team this week, and you lose to Jake Sullivan, who had 2 players not even playing. He had 2 empty roster spots. It's quite embarrassing. So, win number 4. As we look at this matchup here, I won 112-96 over Detective Famous. He had one more trick up his sleeve, but that trick read it like a book. Jermichael Finley, he actually got a touchdown for the first touchdown since week 1 against, I think it was the 49ers, but Jermichael Finley actually scores a touchdown. He got you over 10 points. Great, but you have the Aaron Rodgers, Jermichael Finley duo. But you know what? You had something that you didn't have. You didn't have AJ Green. You didn't have Doug Martin. You didn't have LaShawn McCoy, who's now going to be out next week, I think. You didn't have Roddy White. You didn't have Jimmy Graham. I'll tell you what, you didn't have a loaded team. That's why you lost. You lost to this guy. You lost to the main. You lost to the commissioner. You lost to the number 1 team in the league, boys. That is hard justice. I'm the number 1 team in this league, and all of you can just suck it. Another matchup I can talk about: Chalupa Batman versus Team Claybon. Trevor Bealey has put up quite the fight this year, and he has shed some tears. I think he's had a rough season with injuries, including Aaron Hernandez, Matt Forte injured for a few weeks with that sprained ankle. Seems like Trevor's failure is imminent, and his the Lakers kid will be in his hands in a matter of weeks. So I would like to send my condolences to the Bealey residents, because stay there. This boy will be sitting in your house in a matter of weeks, sitting in your basement, maybe in shambles, maybe you Gronk spike it, maybe you burn it, maybe you make love with it and have it your firstborn child. I really don't care. But it will be yours. And it won't be mine. That's just a good thing to look at, that it won't be mine, it'll be yours. I like to say, sorry, but it had to happen to someone. It happens to the best of us. Sorry. Let's choke it up a little bit. So Trevor Bealey came into the Monday night matchup with Matt Forte and 49ers defense, and it was going to happen a good game for one of the two. That's the worst thing that you can do going into a Monday night match when you need a big comeback. So when you have a defense playing up against your opposing player, because one was going to do good, and it just so happened it's the 49ers defense, and it just so happened that Matt Forte really just didn't do anything. First round pick, didn't do anything for it, and I'd like to say I'm sorry. This whole league, except for CTG probably, is saying sorry. And I would like to let you know I'm going to write your obituary. I'll make it as nice as possible. Now, if you don't know who the Spanish gamer is, he's Jake Sullivan. And Jake Sullivan is known as the Spanish gamer, or other known in our league as Colin's team sucks. Which, again, I would like to beg to differ because I'm the #1 team in the league right now. So as we talk about Jake Sullivan's matchup with Alex Wendell, I'd just like to let you know, Wendell, that, again, Jake Sullivan didn't have 2 players playing. He had 2 empty roster spots, and he still beat you. Now, I know both of you didn't even put up over 100 points. Actually, never mind, Jake did. He actually put up 110, so it's the second highest scoring of the week. So, Wendell, I know you had AP on a bye. You're probably your best player on the team. That's really no excuse, because you really need depth on a team if you want to call yourself a good team, which is something I have. And I've decided I'm going to keep Greg Jennings and hope that he's going to make a big-time effect on my team going into the playoffs. So, just letting you know that. And hopefully LaShawn McCoy comes back onto my team come playoff time. And also, I would just like to say that Jake Sullivan, even though he made this big statement with this huge win over Big Al's Water Kickers, that Rob Gronkowski is out for the rest of the season. Broken forearm. He just had surgery yesterday. He's out for the rest of the season. So, probably your best player on your team, except for maybe like Trent Richardson and Drew Brees and Robert Griffin III, or CJ Spiller maybe. But your big-time, consistent workhorse, Rob Gronkowski, is out for the rest of the year. You'll have to rely on Vernon Davis, who's been probably one of the biggest upsetting things this year. I mean, he had a good start this year, but he just really just bottomed out. And he actually had a good game last night. Yeah, I think he actually had like a really good game. So as you look towards the playoffs and making this playoff race, I just like to remind you that you are without Rob Gronkowski, and it's going to be tough for you to beat a lot of the opponents that are going to be in the playoffs. Another thing I'd like to touch on, which I didn't get to fill in, is that we have a big-time playoff race going on. Spots 9 through 4 are all within a game of each other, and spots 4 through 8, which include Jimmy, Jake, Robbie, Andy, which is now Touch Me and I'll Sue if you didn't know already, and CTG are all 5 and 6. And some of the point differentials on the points for Jimmy and Jake, and 4 points. Detective Famous. Yeah, I mean, we have all these spots that are within. You have 3 spots that are within 100 points of each other, and so the next few weeks are really going to count, especially if you're CTG, and especially if you're CTG. CTG, you need to win out, I think, if you're going to make the playoffs, because your points for are just so low for having such a stacked team that I don't think you're going to make the playoffs, honestly. I'm sorry, not really, but I don't think you're going to make the playoffs. Even though you had this whole parade on Twitter of bragging at how, oh my gosh, see my team go ham. No, I didn't see your team go ham. I saw your team beat Team Tannehill, which isn't that big of a deal. I mean, he was the #1 team in the league last week, but I mean, not that big of a deal, really, even though you had Marshawn Lynch out and you didn't even have a quarterback in. That was a good win, but it's not going ham, okay? Going ham is what I'm going to be doing in a matter of days on Thanksgiving. What you did was have a solid victory, alright? Congratulations, you're still under 500. Get on my level. I'm the #1 team in the league. So the last thing I'd like to talk about is that we are 2 weeks away from the playoffs. It's crunch time, boys. Let's get your team together. Trade deadline is over, so start making some waiver wire moves. As you look into the waiver wires, I'm going to give some hints out here. I think CTG is number one waiver priority because does he have number one waiver priority? Who is number two? Team Clayball is number 2. CTG is number 3. So basically, yeah, he's number 1. Some players to look at would be Denaro Alexander of San Diego Chargers, who has put up double-digit points in the last 2 or last 3 weeks. CTG told me something actually I didn't even know, which is something to really brag about. Is that Denaro Alexander is actually 6'5". He is just as tall as Malcolm Floyd, and CTG's been saying he's the next big thing. I mean, I like to think that since I'm a Chargers fan, but I don't know. I mean, the talent's been there. I mean, he was a good wide receiver prospect coming out of college, but injuries have really kept him back. So it's not really about his quality, it's about his durability. So another thing I like to talk about is Bryce Brown, the backup running back for the Philadelphia Eagles, who has actually had a nice yards per carry average and put up some good stats when he gets the ball. And LeSean McCoy will probably be out this week with the concussion that he sustained on Sunday, and he can give me over 10 points, even though he's the second overall pick in the frickin' draft. Another one I'd like to talk about is Kyle Rudolph. Kyle Rudolph could be a sleeper tight end going into the last 2 weeks of the year if you're a team like CTG, if you're a team like Wendell who needs a tight end. So, I mean, I want to win this league, but I want to make it fair. I want to make it as close as possible when I end up at the end of the year. Stay there. Holding this trophy above my head inside Buffalo Wild Wings, Week 17, and proclaiming that I, Colin Basinius, won the frickin' buff. And he has gone from worst in the last 2 years of my playing fantasy football to first. I will say this: if I win the buff, I will try the Blazing Challenge Week 17. That is a bet. If I win the buff, I will do the Blazing Challenge. So that means you'll be able to see me cry twice in one day. Tears of joy and tears and pain in my taste buds. So that's something to look forward to when I do it. So just like to send that's the final word, and suck it.